Hey guys, it's Meoang, and today we're going to learn about Freddy. Freddy, or the Nightmare, is a stealth-based killer who puts survivors to sleep so that he can track them and interact with them. His power is somewhat complex and interesting. Freddy plays matches from the dream world, and he needs to bring survivors into this dream world before he can interact with them. Any survivor who is awake will be unable to see him or hear his terror radius, but they will hear a lullaby when he's nearby. To bring a survivor into the dream world, you hit them with your power. After a short time, the survivor will transition into the dream world where you can interact with them. While they are transitioning, the survivor will see Freddy for short moments, but not for the entire transition. When a survivor in the dream world is outside of Freddy's terror radius, they are revealed to him. To wake back up, a survivor either needs another survivor to wake them up, or they need to fail a skill check. The most common ways to fail a skill check are by failing a generator skill check, or failing a self-heal skill check. In short, to hit or grab a survivor, that survivor needs to be in the dream world. The only exception is that Freddy can grab awake survivors if they're inside of a locker. As for how I'd rate Freddy, I give him a C for meta strength and an A for fun. Freddy has a lot of problems that we'll get into, and hopefully he gets some small rework in the future, but he is so much fun to play. He feels like the stealth killer that we've always wanted. Freddy is probably my second or third favorite killer right now in spite of his weaknesses. With that said, I have a lot of success with Freddy, and I personally think he's a little underrated. The perk build I currently run on Freddy is Barbecue and Chili, A Nurse's Calling, Enduring, and Whispers. If you'd like, you can also replace one of these perks with Ruin. This perk build is set up to maximize his tracking strengths so that you can get survivors into the dream world and down them as soon as possible. Enduring is particularly important on Freddy as well because he really struggles with pallet looping. The most important add-ons for Freddy are the block add-ons, which reduce the amount of time it takes to transition to the dream world. These add-ons make a pretty massive difference since the transition does take a considerable amount of time. There are two general mindsets when it comes to playing Freddy. The first is to focus on getting as many survivors to sleep as possible so that you know what they're doing, and the second is to just put survivors to sleep as soon as you see them and chase whoever is nearby. After playing Freddy for a good while, I prefer the second playstyle of just going for chases as the opportunity shows itself. The important thing to remember when you're Freddy is that you're completely invisible. Survivors will know if you're nearby, but they won't know your exact location or whether or not you see them. Many survivors will just try to hide when you're nearby, which is a mistake since you'll be able to find them pretty easily. Others will instantly start running away and you need to catch up to them. When you start putting a survivor to sleep, get ready to put yourself in an optimal position. If possible, you want to hit a survivor the instant they enter the dream world, so try to stay on top of them and navigate around vault points and pallets as necessary. Once they're in the dream world, the only thing they can really do is pallet loop you to waste time. They can't really escape because you'll see their location if they get far enough, but you do want to be aware of where they are so they won't wake themselves up. Chases with Freddy end up being a lot like chases with the Wraith. You don't have any tricks to catch up to the survivor, you just have to depend on your fundamentals. This also means that pallet loops are really tedious with Freddy, so try to use Enduring to challenge pallets as often as you can. If you come across a second survivor while in a chase, it's almost always worth it to take a quick second to put that second survivor to sleep as well, so that they have to deal with waking themselves up. If they don't wake themselves up, or you lose the first survivor, you'll be able to find that second survivor quickly. When you down a survivor and start taking them to a hook, remember that awake survivors cannot interact with you. They can't body block you because you'll just walk right through them. When you hook a survivor, they will leave the dream world and you will become invisible to them again. Nearby survivors will know if you're camping though, so don't just stick around. If you see a survivor being unhooked, do your best to put both survivors to sleep as soon as possible, and chase whoever has been hooked the most amount of times. With all of that out of the way, Freddy's power ends up also being his biggest weakness. Not being able to interact with awake survivors is sometimes a huge setback. You won't be able to stop survivors from hook saves unless they are also asleep, and you won't be able to stop survivors from healing until they fall asleep again. The important thing to remember here is that you need to use your time wisely when the survivor is transitioning to the dream world. Start the chase early and put yourself in a good spot when they do fall asleep. Lastly, I want to stress that while Freddy can be weak and frustrating at times, usually he's a ton of fun to play and I highly recommend giving him a try. To demonstrate his gameplay, I'll show you a full Freddy game that I played recently. If this video has helped you, or you'd like to learn more about the other killers or playing killer in general, consider subscribing. More of these killer tutorials are coming shortly, and a lot of them are done already. Thanks for watching, guys, and enjoy the gameplay.